Welcome everybody to the Score on Her podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Anchor, your all-in-one platforming needs for your podcast. You want to start a podcast? Today's your chance. Go to anchor.fm or download the Anchor app. Thank you for sponsoring the podcast. Today we have some chaps. Some might say some paps. We got the Pappy Chap here. We have Charles. We have Joseph, and this is a squad today. We're changing it up. How is I feel like we have to ask the man of the hour. Pap, how are you? Who are you? Are you a real person?
Somewhat. I don't look like it, but some might say, yeah, I'm doing very well. I'm doing very well. Excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So what do you do? How did you find me? How did I find you?
I found you from Dead by Daylight, actually. I was looking for somebody to raid out to, and I looked for certain specific things when I was raiding out for somebody, and you came across my eyes. I bumped in for a couple of minutes, and you seemed like somebody that I was going to vibe with, so I sent my community your way, and it's been all love ever since.
Nice. That was the first time I was ever raided. Of course, I just hit my 2-month anniversary on Twitch.
That's awesome.
It's like I even stated on that stream, like you could have raided thousands of other people. And the fact I caught your eye, I was like, okay, I did something right. It was the lights, right? it was just the lights, nothing else, not personality. It was the lights, right?
No, exactly.
Okay.
Nothing
if you want to get rated, get more lights. That's what it's about. But how long have you been streaming for?
I've been streaming probably about 2 years now. I'm pretty latecomer in like the gaming and the streaming world, but I got affiliate. It'll be my year July 2nd. So
nice,
coming up here soon. So yeah, about 2 years now. I dabbled in Mixer a little bit back in the day when Microsoft, I think it was Microsoft, they bought Beam and turned it into Mixer. That's kind of how I found out about the streaming world kind of thing, and it's been a journey ever since, that's for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I know with Mixer, that was still around. So I started doing Dead by Daylight because I saw a bunch of YouTuber creators, mostly like achievement hunters, play it, and I went, I want to sit there and make that kind of content. So I made a couple posts on Facebook, and people have reached out, and I was like, I need you guys' footage. I need your footage so I can make this happen. So we had them download Mixer on their Xboxes and go live there to do the videos. And like the editing was okay back then, but it was like they really loved it. They really enjoyed it. And then they like started streaming because of that. I'm like, yes, I made your careers. I love it. And then I was like, I'm gonna go with a Facebook. And then Mixer crashed, and they went over to Twitch, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm gonna stay at Facebook. So I'm at Facebook. They're over on Twitch, and then Facebook did some shady things, and I went, okay, I'm going over to Twitch. I was the last one to move over to Twitch. I was like, I'm going over to Twitch, but I'm documenting my journey in the background. So whenever I have everything up and going, I can show the little tips and tricks that I've done to get to where I'm at. And I mean, 2 months, awesome. 40 followers, and constantly growing it every day. It's all right. It's all right for sure.
That's it. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Go ahead, Charles.
I was going to say that while you were on Facebook, you also dabbled in streaming on YouTube a bit too.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely did. It was I was trying to figure out where I could stream, what would be better, how could I change things up, because they have algorithms. And then this year I said I'm taking YouTube much more seriously, and I said I'm gonna take Twitch seriously. Or actually, I wasn't on Twitch, I was on YouTube or on Facebook. But I was like, I'm gonna take the streaming seriously. I'm gonna take the YouTube seriously. I'm gonna actually like put time dedication into all this. And now I'm pretty much just Dead by Daylight. I play other games. I just don't stream other games as often. I'm trying to do the 80-20 rule, like a business rule. So I'm like streaming a certain game so much, like majority Dead by Daylight, because I did play in a couple of tournaments. I'm very good at the game. And now I'm like, okay, now I'm going to try playing something on the weekends. So the weekends, don't know what I'm playing, but it's usually something different, so I can explore my waters. We just finished Halo with Charles yesterday. He died 161 times.
I was on Legendary, and I was getting freaking murdered by you a handful of times, and I was getting shot to every motherfucker out there.
8 times. I killed you only 8 times, and 3 of them were your fault.
I didn't kill you once an entire night the other night till I actually shot you with a rocket.
Okay, I landed a car on you 3 times, okay? You were in my way. The car fell from the sky. You were down below. Okay, you shot me with rocket. You
That's
make me
funny.
go blah.
And that
Okay,
was on
so
accident.
mine were too. But Pap, so
That's funny.
your week's been pretty good then.
Yeah. Busy week, but all in all, it was a good week. It was a good week.
Nice. I'll have to hear it.
Here's one thing I'm wondering about, Ryan, is like, how much is streaming your area of focus? Are you working elsewhere as well?
Yeah, I try to dabble elsewhere. I think it's important if you're trying to grow to expand, like don't just like tunnel yourself kind of into one thing. So I've been dabbling into other things. Now I'm pretty new, so a lot of this stuff is new to me. I've been trying to learn about like video editing, excuse me. I've been posting like a bunch of TikToks, YouTube Shorts, all that kind of stuff. Posts on Twitter, some social medias. So I definitely do all that to try and help the channel grow, because I think like when you're not live, how else are you going to get eyes on your channel, right? So I think it's important. And some people might just be stuck on certain platforms as well. So if you can get your eyes on a bunch of different platforms, then it's good for yourself.
Yeah, and you get more out of the content that you're producing too, because it can be repurposed into additional forms of content.
Yeah. And honestly, like I'm really learning to like I love this stuff. Like I'm somewhat tech savvy, but like nowhere near tech savvy where I need to be. And like learning all about this stuff, I find it very interesting, and it's been a fun process for sure.
Nice. And then
Like
now
that, sorry.
what you do for a living? Yeah,
Yes.
what do you do for a living outside of streaming?
I build cars, so I work for Honda of Canada Manufacturing. I've been there about 15 years now. And it's just basically, I call it grown man Lego. I work on an assembly line, and the cars come down the line, and every minute I put certain parts in certain areas of the vehicle, and it moves along to the next person, and I do my thing. So they're a really good company to work for. They treat me really well. Some of the work can be very, very mind-numbing. You got to learn to play mind games with yourself and not look at the clock. But all in all, it's been a fun experience for sure.
I don't imagine you're allowed to like listen to content while you're working, because that could probably lead.
No, yeah,
Lead to an
because
accident.
I think it'd be pretty hard too, like unless you had Bluetooth earbuds, I guess. But we have to wear earplugs because of the decibels that's in there. It's really,
Yeah.
really loud. Yeah, well above 90 decibels in there, so they recommend you wearing earplugs. And then for safety reasons as well, it's probably not the best thing to be doing so. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely cool. So you stream, you pretty
Mhm.
well stream almost full time. You stream more than I do, and like that's shocking because I feel like I stream a lot, and you.
Yeah, I definitely. Yeah, I'm trying to cut back my hours a little bit for sure. Like during the pandemic and all the stuff that was going on, my work was a lot slower due to. I mean, a lot of people's works were a lot slower. Wasn't just me in that situation, right? I'm not just trying to say me, but we were all in that situation. But my work was really slow due to parts issues, so I had a lot more time off. So I was streaming a lot more and trying to put out a lot more content. And now we're slowly starting to ramp back up. So I'm trying to maybe cut down my streaming days that I do per week a little bit, and focus those off days on spending a bit more time with my family, and then also putting out content that I can help the channel grow.
Okay.
Yeah, cool.
Well, Joseph, how's your week been? How's the job stuff going?
Yeah, so job stuff has leveled out pretty well. The media network I was telling you guys about last week. So here's the first week for you. They gave me a limit of 5 hours, and they ended up doing 7. They had sent me some stuff to do if I had time during the weekend, and I did. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'll just do it. It makes a good first impression. So yeah, so it's going along pretty well. I'm just giving it the rest of the month to see if everyone's happy, and if one way or another, still look for other stuff to do in the meantime. So yeah, getting closer and closer to like my target goal. And I just feel a lot better these days knowing that I have more of like a portfolio of work rather than having to be dependent on one thing. Because when you're dependent on one thing, I'm present company with respect to present company, because I know Honda's basically like the one thing, but they're treating you well, right? It's all of that. So like for just the way I work, it's the portfolio approach has been pretty good so far. So, and I also I got as far as I could as a freelancer, but I joined up with this other podcaster community. So a lot of people are sharing ideas, and what they were saying is that some of the rates that some of the shows that these people work on is actually higher than what I've been doing, but I could be doing that based off my experience. So that's promising.
Yeah.
So that's been a good update. So yeah, like not the most crazy week in terms of that regard, but I thank you for asking. The one thing that I'm just like telling everybody about, because it's very rare for me to like really get into something and really become a fan of something. But Jen and I have been watching a lot of horror movies lately because we got Shudder, and so we're just going through. I was hoping that Shudder would have Return of the Living Dead. It didn't. So I was like, that is the one horror movie I've wanted to see for a while now. So we straight up just rented that on the YouTubes, and it is unequivocally my favorite horror movie of all time now. It's funny. Like one of the characters, he spends the entire thing like going, "Oh God, oh no!" But his delivery is so genuine, and it was just cracking me up the entire time. 1985, but it still holds up to this day because it was almost exclusively practical effects. Everything had to be done by hand, and that gave that movie so much more staying power. So if you're looking for a good horror recommendation, that's my winner.
I have not seen it, but I think I leave this week or later this week to go out with Britt. So I think we'll rent that. We'll rent that and watch it. I think that would be a fun experience to watch. So any other horror recommendations while you're at it?
Jen and I, we seem to agree on zombie stuff. So the Romero saga is, well, as time goes on, they're not quite as hard hitting, but the original three, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and then Day of the Dead are pretty good. And it's not like a trilogy per se, because it's not like it follows the same cast of characters, but it shows you different parts of the apocalypse, like the apocalypse unfolding, the apocalypse in full swing, and society starting to break down, and then society has broken down, and now the last vestiges of humanity are just trying to get along, which they, don't. We also, I think I mentioned this last week, I can't remember, but we watched one that came out of Taiwan. It was like their first horror movie called The Sadness. And I think, again, it's like a zombie virus-ish, but the infected can still talk, and they retain all of their primal desires. So they don't just want to eat flesh, they also want to carve it up and have sex with it. So it's considered like one of the darkest movies to come out in a long time. And there's some scenes in there that I thought, yeah, this is that pushed the boundaries. Speaking of which, here's one more. So there's this one that I was actually afraid to watch for a long time. I did some research on it earlier when I was younger, but I didn't have the stomach yet to watch it. But it's called. It sounds so awful saying it. It's called Cannibal Holocaust. And,
I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah. So I'm blanking on whether it was a 70s or an 80s movie, but it's definitely like. Sorry, what was that, Jordan?
I was calling you guys. You're the only two that ever heard say that you know that movie, so I said, "Goddamn Canadians!" Like you two were both being like, "Yeah, I know that one." I'm like, "Why? Why you do know it?"
It's one of the few horror movies that got banned in like multiple countries, and they pushed a lot of boundaries into way past like tasteful. But I watched it, and without spoiling, the main plot, I liked it a lot more. I thought it was just going to be like, shock for the sake of shock, but everything was deliberate. Everything was trying to illustrate a point. And tiny spoiler, but I think this is worth saying. The only thing that like really pushed things too far was animal cruelty. There are shots where live animals are murdered on camera, and like there's a scene where a guide in the jungle chops a turtle's head off and then starts dismembering the turtle to eat. Now this is what people do; they have to kill the animals to eat, but this was considered to be irresponsible in terms of filmmaking, because the filmmaker's job is to always create the illusion of something happening without actually having to do it. Yeah. It's the illusion of somebody getting murdered. It's the illusion of somebody getting impaled on a spike. It's the illusion of animals getting killed. But they straight up just killed the animals on screen, and that was just like, no.
I can understand that then. Yeah, I can understand that.
Because if you want the movie to have a lasting impact, it has to be through the storytelling. And yeah, you can use shocking imagery, but actually killing the animals is cheating. It's just like, okay, now you're actually disturbing people, and there's no more disconnect between reality and illusion. So that's where they went too far. But everything else is done within context. I mean, again, people are getting impaled, murdered, the R word. There's some pretty grisly things that happen in it. But aside from the animal murder, it was actually a very interesting movie. So if you can stomach it, if you can watch that, you're like, all right, now I'm prepared for anything.
Yeah, they actually remade. I think there's the one that you're talking about. That's the older version, and then they
Yeah,
remade it
they
again.
did.
I think there's a newer one, and obviously
There
the newer
is.
one doesn't have the animal cruelty and all that stuff. But yeah,
So,
the
I,
original was man.
yeah, from the one that like I hadn't seen it, and they do remix the story. I believe it's called Green Inferno,
Mm-hmm.
which is a term
Yeah.
that they refer to those jungles in the first movie. So
Mhm.
that's how they create a connection between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an Eli Roth movie. I don't want to watch his movies, by the
Right.
way. I know he's done Hostel, and I don't know if I want to watch torture stuff. Again, it's an illusion, but I'm like, I don't know if
Yeah.
if
50
horror for
Shades of
me is.
Grey.
What's
Sometimes
that?
it's harsh.
50 Shades of Grey. I mean, there's a lot of torture. A lot of, and I don't
Yeah,
want
I have way too many family members ask me about Netflix so they can watch that I'm comfortable with.
to.
You mentioned a movie from Taiwan. I was expecting you to say like Train to Busan or something.
That's South Korea. That's another good one. Yeah, Train to Busan is amazing. That's definitely one of the best zombie movies to come out in a while. So that's worth it too.
Okay. Okay.
From
Nice.
what I've seen of the sequel, it's actually alright too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't know there was a sequel. But yeah, but out of all of them, Return of the Living Dead. You watch that, you'll understand my sense of humor and also my sense of horror as well. What makes me laugh, but what also creeps me out too. So yeah, if you're gonna watch anything, please make it that one.
Okay. Yeah, definitely will. But that's all that happened out through your week. Watch some
Yep.
movies and shop. Nice. Charles, what
My
happened to your
dreams have
week?
been surprisingly pleasant. I gotta say, I was surprised.
I've just been doing
Good.
my own thing on with my YouTube stuff, and just grinding away at Destiny like I always do. I
Yeah.
wanted to think and check out an antique store that's down the street from my house here for the longest time, but I never have a chance to because there's one booth I want to check out that has a freaking metric shit ton of NASCAR diecast, and that's where a lot of my money's probably going to end up going eventually. I like collecting NASCAR diecasts.
I love the fact that every now and then Charles will explain that something's like expensive or like he doesn't have the money for something. But then before that comes up, he talks about him buying a bunch of books or he will buy like certain things. And it's just funny because like that's where all my money's gonna go. And I guarantee like in 2 weeks, this is gonna come back up. He's gonna be like, I'm broke. I got nothing. All that damn NASCAR.
Well, I pretty much have everything paid off for the month. I can actually save money. The only thing I have to really pay is the last 100 for the rent I owe my parents for the month.
Hey, that works. That works. Anything else fun happen?
Well, not really. I know I've at 155 subs right now, mostly because I ran into another guy that has almost 500 subs on YouTube, and I popped in his when he was streaming Super Smash Bros. One day, and then I subscribed to him because I wanted to support him and everything. And he did the same for me when I left a couple of messages in his chat.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Streamers getting along.
And like Pat, me and Jordan freaking have got dabbled in the whole YouTube short thing. I have one that has over 2,000 views, and it's just me freaking chucking a freaking soda bottle of a freaking shitty flavor Mountain Dew into a trash can. I don't know how the fuck it just blew up. I just figured it was one of those things that just exploded with fucking views and likes for some reason.
Has
awesome.
anyone had the Mountain Dew that's like spicy, like the spicy Mountain Dew? Has anyone had that?
I've heard about it. I haven't tried it yet or seen it around here.
That's the one I chucked into the trash can because it was freaking shit.
Okay, so that was one you chucked. So Joseph, did you try that?
No, I've seen a Mountain Dew at my local convenience store that's like gingerbread house flavored.
It's actually pretty good.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, ginger and ale have like they have a history in terms of soda. So it's totally out of the question. But I've yet to I like tomato juice. I like Caesars. So I like spicy drinks, but spicy carbonated soda, I don't know about that one, Chief.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
was
know.
curious.
Sorry.
You're good. Go ahead.
I'm freaking trying to track down the Baja Blast Mountain Dew because they're supposed to be having it back in stores now. But for some reason, neither the gas station up the street from my house or the Dollar General that's right across the street from it have it for some goddamn reason.
Have you ever tried the Walmart?
You want to freaking pay for my freaking Uber and freaking Lyft ride up to Walmart?
No! I'm not paying for you to go get a soda. I'm not made of Uber.
That's just not cheap, you know.
I know. I paid for Ubers for like, oh, God, I worked for Amazon for almost 3 years. Yeah, for about 3 years, I paid for Ubers every single day for 3 years straight. Yeah, no,
To
what
get
a-
there and back for transport or for okay.
to get there and back. Because me and Brittany would run such weird hours, so I would end up having to go in at like 6 p.m. and leave at like 8 or at 8 a.m. the next day, or vice versa. Like working head of security at Amazon, unfortunately, you had no freedom to do anything. And I say
Well,
head
I
of
know it.
security, I was one of the head supervisors at night. I wasn't the top. I refused. Job offer 3 times, turned down every single time. Too much paperwork and politics. It was not great. But yeah, I paid
I
for
know it.
Ubers like every day, twice a day. $10 at night if it's like 3 a.m. And then in the middle, like 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, it was like $7, but I'll tip $3 so I can keep it there. But it was all tax write off, luckily, so I did get benefited that way. But it still sucks.
I know during that whole time when you're working for Amazon, we hardly ever did anything.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's where I worked 60, 70-hour weeks every week. It was hard just for me to do anything. And then, like, yeah, me and you, that's why me and Dante fell off. Unfortunately, it's like when it's all said and done, like, I worked at 9, well, it wasn't even 9 to 5, but I worked that job grinding every day to get a paycheck, and it wasn't worth it. But I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, it was a good learning experience. It taught me a lot. But yeah, no, it wasn't worth it. Anything else happen out through your week, Charles?
Not really. I know that I was excited for it, and I was happy that we were able to get to Halo 3 on Legendary the other day. And I still can't believe that only 1.74% of people got the achievement for beating that game on Legendary.
Yeah,
And we're part of that.
yeah. Now we're a part of that. So yeah, no, that was tons of fun. We ended up streaming it. We split in half. We only played like four chapters one day, and then the next week we did the next 4 chapters. Yeah, it was tons of fun. I only died like 600, or only died 100 times, and then 8 of them were because I murdered Charles, so they counted as my deaths. But it wasn't my fault. Most of the time, a vehicle landed on him. Okay, that's just bad driving. that's not my
Randomly
fault.
you would hit something that would explode, and then you're flying into me somehow.
Yeah, but once again, that wasn't my fault. I didn't make the vehicles. It's like when people are like, "No, the guy didn't kill my child. The gun did." No, the gun didn't.
I am flashbacking so hard right now.
Oh no.
It wasn't me. It was the technology. It's not my fault the grenades stick to people.
Yeah.
Not freaking Blitz. We can't do that freaking epic videos that he does where he just freaking launches himself halfway across the freaking map in Halo Infinite and freaking manages to take out a bunch of enemies.
See, I don't want that. I'm my own person, okay? I'm gonna sit there and make a fun clip of me doing the things I want to do. I'm not gonna copy another. As people say, I
Dude's
copy
actually
Mr.
pretty
Beast,
cool.
but that's not it. That's not it.
False alarm, guys. Everybody back to your stations. Be talking to my...
Oh yeah, I guess we should talk about my week. What? Go ahead, Charles.
Besides some crap that's going on with my work, which I'm probably going to be getting hopefully a new job, a better paying job soon for getting everything. You know what?
Yeah.
Always move on up.
Yeah.
Turn it out. Turn it out.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just not looking forward to the freaking hours.
put a proper like 2 weeks notice. Don't just bail out before having a job. Have a job in line. 2 weeks in, and at least that looks better, especially because you're still doing the 9 to 5 stuff. So you don't want to burn any bridges that you might not want to get back.
Yeah, I don't know if you were thinking about me when you said that, but
Yeah,
that's like...
I was. I was thinking about you.
Saying the fact I freaking ratted my freaking... I'm not allowed to say certain things I want to say, but freaking... Since I have 2 teenagers that don't know how to freaking manage a restaurant freaking as my bosses and everything, I told the GM, who's also somebody who really likes me and everything, because I worked my rear end off and I'm one of his favorites there. I told him about freaking crap that freaking one of the GM, my managers did this past Saturday, and freaking he said he'll do something about it. Freaking the one that I freaking told him about freaking is in Florida right now for the week, and the other one also said something about the if he did something wrong that he shouldn't have. I don't know if he will say anything to him about it or not.
Well, hopefully he does.
And
Hopefully he does.
even if he dies, freaking the both of them are probably going to be trying their damnedest to find some excuse to get rid of me once he freaking says something to him.
Yeah, that's the politics of working a job. No one wants to get blamed for it, but pointing that finger though, they'll jump on that boat anytime.
Seeing the fact I've been at this place since before we opened the joint, freaking if anybody should be the one running that place, it's me. I was supposed to be a manager, but freaking they put the kibosh for that once a friend of mine who was the freaking manager before the ones that are running it now freaking left. They don't want freaking somebody that would actually do their job properly there. Because half the people that are working at the place I'm working at right now would be seeing their ass in the fucking unemployment line if I had it my way.
So if Charles is ever your boss, ladies and gentlemen, if Charles is ever your boss, just run. Just get a new job. This is what we're saying. Charles is like, unemployment!
You have a problem, but if you're not doing your job, freaking I'm going Ramsey your ass.
Yeah, I think you're willing to do the job, and I'm sure Charles is fine. In fact, if anything, I would have Charles as a boss just so that I can watch him just like go Charles on people who are not doing their jobs.
Just screaming at people and then apologize.
Going Gordon Ramsay on somebody if I have to.
Is that really what people use? Like, I'm going Gordon Ramsay, like, just yelling at people? Is that what people use? Oh my god!
I talked to some people in the restaurant industry. It's a pretty high level, and yeah, it's a lot like that because it's just the stress levels are so high, and you have to move at the speed of sound to keep up with the demand, and so it's just the tempers flare up. It just comes out. It can't be helped. It should, but it can't.
Okay. I mean, I worked at a gas station that cooked stuff, and it was not even close.
How many people got food poisoning from it?
Actually, only one that did was my mom, but it wasn't when I was working there. My mom got food. They didn't cook the fish fully, and yeah, my mom got food poisoning from it.
No
I didn't
way.
work there. I was at Amazon at that point, but my mom was like, "Don't eat there again." I'm like, "Why?" She's like, "Well, they didn't cook the fish, like the fried catfish. Yeah, they didn't cook it." I went. She's like, "Did you have some?" I sure did. She's like, "I wouldn't go back there if my life depended on it." We ate out that night. Guess where we went? And we lived in a small town in Arkansas.
If you don't freaking cut out a certain part that's the edible part out of a jellyfish, you could kill somebody with that stuff.
Oh, there's tons of there's jellyfish. What is it?
Pufferfish.
Pufferfish is another one. Certain squids are just the exact same way. Sushi is just dangerous. I don't eat a lot of sushi.
I tried it once when me and my girlfriend went somewhere once. They had that stuff, and it tastes like shit.
It's a exquisite taste. It's exquisite.
There's there's a sushi spot near here. We don't get it too often, but once in a while, and the shrimp on the inside of it will be cooked. It'll be deep fried, so it's considered tempura, but then the rest of the ingredients that are raw are fine, like just rice wrapped around in seaweed, avocado. So they're wising up. You don't. It's not as often that you can get other stuff. You don't have to have raw fish when you eat sushi if you don't want to.
Yeah, and I think like even with you would notice like at lower tier like the fast food equivalent of sushi, like they would try to have the least amount of raw stuff there. They would try to have like imitation crab, so it's not gonna cause a food poisoning, lawsuit, or anything like that. But as soon as you start getting up a little higher and higher in tier, you would notice like the more uncooked food they have just laying out, being like, "Oh yeah, we got you. Raw salmon, we got you." I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't like raw salmon.
You pay more, we labor less.
This podcast is turning into what you shouldn't you eat and cannibal movies. But I'll go ahead and talk about my week or day, I guess. I'm going out of town this week, and before I go out of town, I have like a ton of stuff I have to do. So I went to bed very late last night trying to work on getting things ready for the podcast and getting certain things done up. And then I was trying to edit for Brittany, edit for the other people. And then I'm getting to the point where I'm like, okay, I got to get sleep. Like, I know I got to get sleep. And I'm trying to get to sleep. My sister messages me about something we're going to talk about today. And she messages me about the TikToker that got involved in the whole Mr. Beast toilet thing, and I went, oh my god. So I was like hyper focused on that, and I'm like, oh my god, we can talk about this on the podcast, we can do all this. I'm like, I need to go to bed, but we will talk about that in a minute. And so retention. So I'm over there, I'm trying to go to bed, finally get to sleep, wake up at like 6 o'clock, and I went, I'm not getting up at 6 o'clock, I'm not only gonna have 4 hours of sleep. Go back to sleep, wake up 30 minutes later to a text message from one of my buds, and he's like, hey, you awake? I message back, no. I go to sleep. Calls. I'm like, pick up. He's like, hey, are you awake? No. Who else is answering this phone? He's like, oh. Hey, you know what sucks about... I'm like, okay, dude. So he started talking nonsense, and then I go back to sleep, wake up at about 9 o'clock. I'm like, I need to get up. I have to get up for the day. Get up, go on my bike ride, get to the coffee shop, and one of my buds there, we're sitting down, we're talking, and the more and more I'm talking to him, I'm like, I'm realizing I am so behind on so much stuff. He's like, man, I got this scheduled out. We got weddings booked to this day, so I'm going to do the photography there. I got all this. I'm like, I'm set. I'm over there going, I have a stream in 3 hours, and I'm not ready. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm over there like, I'm streaming. I don't know what I'm streaming. I don't know what I'm going to do. I know I got stuff ready. And then he's like, how's the videos doing? And I died inside. I'm like, videos. We haven't posted this month. We have a video. We're gonna post. We're gonna get a video done tomorrow. I forgot to tell the people who are in the video when the video's happening. So I immediately went, oh. So I hurried up. I'm texting them back and forth. And they're like, okay, will this time work? They're like, no, this won't work. I'm like, what about this time? They're like, oh, well, I need to do this with the wife at this time. I'm like, oh, okay. What about this time? Oh, what, the kids are gonna be here. I don't know. So. And then I do all that. I'm like minutes before I need to go live. And then I'm like, okay, cool. My dad messages me. Not my dad. My sister messages me. She's like, hey, make sure to call dad tomorrow. It's his birthday. And I went, my dad's birthday is tomorrow. I'm like, okay, I need to call him. And I went, wait, my niece's birthday is tomorrow. She's turning 1. I was like, oh my god, my day's booked. I got nothing ready. Like, I've never felt so far behind in my life till today. And I went, I just gotta focus on one object. So I got all this going up till Tuesday, and then literally Wednesday, I leave town. I disappear from the earth. I leave town. I go to a museum with Brittany for her birthday. That it's funny because her birthday is not actually this week. What's this week is our anniversary, but we're not celebrating our anniversary. We'll celebrate her birthday. So we're going out to museums and stuff like that. And throughout all this, we're like, okay, let's go do this. I'm like, okay, what do you want to do? She's like, I just want to sit in bed. I'm like, wait, we're paying $100 at a hotel to sit in bed? That's all we're doing? She's like, yep. I went, okay, I guess we're paying $100 to sit down in a bed and watch TV. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing for the rest of the week. And I get back on Friday night. And then literally I'm going to spend the weekend grinding out the video that's being filmed Tuesday so I can have it ready for the following Friday. I've been posting up on social media as like teasers of the thumbnail and stuff like that. And one of the people said about the thumbnail, they're like, I like the thumbnail, but what does this mean? And I was like, what do you mean, what does it mean? It's a picture of the Dredge grabbing me from Dead by Daylight. I didn't use hashtag Dead by Daylight. I use hashtag BDB.
Oh no.
I don't know what that means, but I'll tell you, I don't know. People are like, what does this mean? I'm like, I didn't use the right hashtags. Delete, repost. I gotta post it up. I got some followers. Hopefully don't expect anything. I don't know. I still don't know what it means. I thought maybe I accidentally did BDSM. I was like, oh no.
Well, the fact that it's Pride Month, this is like the worst month to...
I know, you don't want to mess anything up. So I'm like, delete. So the 5 people that saw it before being deleted, you're welcome. But yeah, so my week is hectic. Yeah, what's up?
I was gonna say, while you're working on that whole project and everything, I'll give you like a YouTube subscriber something to watch in the meantime. When you're not posting something, you can always take like the vibes of like last week's and this week's Halo thing that we did and put them on there.
I could, but the issue with that is like I've talked about many times, even on this podcast, is YouTube's an analytic place that you don't want to put out just like par stuff. So now I'm set up to higher tier content. If I just now start posting videos with no editing or barely any editing, it will grab what I'm building and shoot it back down to the ground. And so that's the only reason I won't do that, just because of I'm building this like scale of YouTube. So like even just last year to this year, the editing has went from okay to over the top Mr. Beast style. So I would love to, but then that's caused a lot of edit to edit that down into something, and then I'm not putting the focus on the main project I should be putting focus on. So
It pains me to ask this because it goes against, things that I dislike about YouTube, but have you thought about opening up that second channel for the more, just for like the raw vids?
And that's what I've been wondering about doing. Then the biggest thing is just like thumbnails and stuff. But I do have a second channel I'm thinking about just uploading like maybe the raw vids to. I know those do well for some player or for some people. But and I'm also thinking of the viewer retention. That's what clicked in my mind. I'm like, if I upload a 3-hour video, who's watching 3 hours? Even through our dead space. Like that's 1 out of 4 of us. That's 1%. That's 25%. Of 4 people. I'm not gonna sit down and watch a 3-hour thing. It's different being live at the time with a community, because you're chatting back and forth, or you have the option like, I want to be a part of this, and start typing back and forth, versus uploading a raw video that's 3 hours long. You're now watching this for 3 hours long. There's no interaction. There's no having fun with the community. There's not any of that. So that's where it definitely differs. So if you go live on YouTube, it's different from going live on YouTube and uploading a 3-hour clip. If you're live for 3 hours, people are going to enjoy it more versus uploading.
I agree with you. I think though, just the one upside is to treat it more like your storage channel more than anything, because you can always download the videos off of it afterwards, and so they're up on YouTube's servers with all their resources versus you having to store it on an external hard drive or even on your computer. So just the fact that it's all there, you can just pull from that content for the future if you ever need to get a clip from something. So there's a lot of upsides to it, and there's not a lot of
there's a lot of upsides. Go ahead.
If anything, you could just take like a funny clip from like one of the times you ran me over with a vehicle, just make it edited like short of it, and then leave link for your Twitch channel on there, and think maybe that'll get some more views.
Yeah, I think you and I need to find like a support circle for co-op buddies who tend to get blowed up more than do the blowing up.
Listen, okay, if he wouldn't have been in the way trying to get the bumper,
if they had done what I told them not to do, they'd still be alive.
Okay, so we're playing one level and we're in vehicles on Halo, and we're on the ledge. Charles, for some reason, isn't in a vehicle anymore, and he's down below doing whatever the fuck he's doing, and I'm up top in a Warthog, and as I'm driving off, I'm literally going, oh no, uh-oh, and then he gets crushed by a car. I couldn't control anything. If I could, I would have said, oops. I didn't.
Brakes, right?
What?
Warthog has brakes. Why do you think you could see me for some time?
I was falling! You can't brake while falling! If you could stop in midair like Scooby-Doo, I would have! I couldn't! This is not Scooby-Doo, this is Halo! You can't just stop in midair! The brakes did not work! And you hopped out of the vehicle. I still don't know why you hopped out of the vehicle, but I would like to point out here, I did what I could. I warned you. I said, uh-oh.
That's why I hopped out, because I was trying to snipe too, but thinking I fell off the cliff.
Then that's your problem. That's you know what? We're gonna mark those as yours. Let me go grab our sheet of paper that definitely is as accurate as it gets for deaths. There's a lot on here. Charles, you're 166 still.
Also because of that fucking mission level in high charity.
Hey, you know what? Get good, son. That's all I gotta say.
At least I'm the one that didn't die in the last mission at the end.
Okay, Jordan, I got a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So something stuck out to me in your diatribe. Well, two things. The one is that you went 5 minutes and nothing in your life was on fire. So that was nice.
I know.
So congrats to that.
Thanks.
But you were talking about how, was it your brothers that go into the wedding? There's someone,
A friend of mine.
a friend. Okay, a friend. So a friend's wedding, and then you thought, oh, he's getting married. He's getting all that set up, and then I gotta stream a video game later. Were you having one of those existential moments where you were comparing like your life's trajectory versus that of, the person who's
No.
getting married?
No, I was more thinking like, this guy, he does weddings. Like he does photography and videography for weddings and stuff. And he
Oh,
had
I
it
see.
all
Okay, so that's his
planned.
profession. That's
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's how he makes his living. So he does this, and I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at him, and he's like, he has like dates lined up. Like he has the next month booked. He has the next 3 months booked, and I'm like, wow, he has all this gathered up. My to-do list is still just empty boxes. There's nothing checked off saying ready, done. It's like it's all just filled. It was a moment where I was looking at it going, he's ready. He could sit down for an hour and have coffee with me. I do not have that time because I overbooked myself, and that's kind of how I was looking at it. But the wedding idea, that is something that people keep popping into me, mostly because me and Brittany are about to celebrate our 5-year anniversary. And so people keep kind of making little comments going, well, why aren't you married yet? Why don't you pop the question? I'm like, we're already there.
The mic spiked up.
What's up?
Somebody's mic made a weird sound there for a second.
Yeah, it was like a feedback or overlay, whatever. But yeah, so like people will pop that question, being like, why didn't you marry yet? It's like, well, we're already there. We already live together. She already has a fucking life warranty out on herself, so if she dies, I'm rich. She's like, will you do it? And I'm like, no. I was like, I'm not putting that on myself. I play video games for a living. I don't need life insurance. You're fine. Nothing's gonna happen to me. And I live in Kansas, and there's tornadoes every week. So I'm over here going, nothing's gonna happen to me. Oh, a tornado watch in my area. Maybe something will happen to me, because I'm not leaving this office. I even told her that, like, I'm not leaving the office. If a tornado happens, I'm just dead. I'm accepting
You
fate.
got to switch and play that thing offline, at least.
Wow,
Oh,
I'm over here, like, dying with the things I love, and then if I just went over and said, I'm going to play my Switch. So when I die, I'm playing my Switch. Also, by the way, can we talk about, like, how people say, like, when you die, you can't bring stuff with you? That's a big thing. People are like, when you die, you can't bring money with you. You can't bring this stuff. Why is it every time we talk about a ghost, they're always like, oh, she's wearing her lovely ring. Oh, he's wearing the military suit he died in. They can bring that shit and I can't bring my magic cards? Like, why can't I bring that? They're like, you can't bring the things you love with you to the grave. Really? Because these people are. They're over there bringing their military clothes. They're like, oh, she wore a top hat when she died. I'm like, cool, I want that.
When one of my grandfathers was buried, and I don't know if this was just an Italian tradition, but we gave him a little bit of money, and we put it into the pocket of his tuxedo that he's being buried with. It's a couple of dollars. He said, some pocket change for him when he goes into the afterlife, and then he's in a mausoleum now. He's in a slot in a wall, his resting place. But then I started doing the math about the economic implications of putting in money that literally cannot be retrieved again, and how many thousands of people are being buried. And like, we're stingy, but some people might be putting like $10 bills, $20 bills into them. So like, I don't know what the economic system is in the afterlife, but either we're not providing enough stimulus, or we've been providing way too much.
I'm gonna be buried with anything. This freaking thing or the Nerf Gallahorn I'm getting.
That's good.
Well, you could be buried with that. I told Britt the only thing I want buried with is like the stupid things in my office. I was like, I want the dumb stuff. So she's like, oh, so you want your wheels, you want your like camera, your first camera. I said, no, there's a duck on this wall over here. I literally just have a stack of ducks, and I'm like, just bring them. Just bring
I'm kind
them.
of hoping that she would like bury you in your claptrap figurines.
No, I told her like the ducks, and then now I was like my first and only ever like Skull Hunter mug. I was like, bury me with those, and I'm fine. Just that, I'm good. Skull Hunter.
I would
I
I was
get
paired
one, by the way.
with my dice, with like my D&D dice and some of my my stones, like the energy stones.
Okay.
I would love to be buried with just a bag of like my little trinkets and doodads and stuff like that. That'd be pretty nice. And I weighed it out. We're talking about like $10 worth of fast value here.
Yeah, it's like
So-
none of the
so-
value I'm talking about is worth anything really. So Charles want to be buried with a Nerf gun. You want to be buried with your dice and stones.
And my grudges. If there's anything I want to come
Your
with me into
grudges.
afterlife, it's my grudges.
I'm going away with ducks in a mug. Pat, what are you going with?
Man, oh man, good question. I'd probably take some of my skulls with me, and then that would really trip some people out if everybody ever dug me up or something, man. Holy cow. I got a big skull collection. I'd probably take my skulls or
Hell yeah.
something like that, yeah.
Metal fans would be
I like
happy with
fire too, though, so I'd probably be cremated, but I like fire a lot, so I'd probably might be cremated, but then, yeah, maybe put a skull or something in there.
Okay.
Definitely would be happy
Yeah.
making the heavy metal fans happy.
Yeah. So
I'm one of them.
Good stuff.
here's something I wanted to do, and Brittany's not a fan of this. Brittany's absolutely not a fan of this. What I want to do is we've been talking about actually buying a property, a piece of property,
Good stuff.
and we're talking about this, and she's like, yeah, and then we can build our house. I was like, if we build our house from the ground up, you can legally buy skeletons that been repurposed into real life skeletons that been purposed into school props for learning. You could buy those totally legally. I want to buy a few, put them under the house. So if anything ever happened to us, there's just bodies under the house.
Dig it up. Like, who
And
is
then
that?
you're gonna get a visit from the FBI.
I'll be dead. That's the thing is, I'll be gone. My future kids will be like, Mom and Dad are psychos. I'll be just going, ha, you fuckers. I don't know. I have a bad sense of humor with that. I'm just like,
That's
I
funny.
think it would be funny. Like, and I'm a comedian, and there's documented proof that I'll do it. So it's like, Now I highly doubt no one's going in my SSDs going, okay, dead body. Boom. They're going to see a file named dead body, and they're going to assume, oh, it's probably for his thumbnails. It's probably for his video stuff. It's all good. They're not going to be like, these are the documents of the dead bodies he purchased and put them under the house, and there's a skeleton. No.
What
But
kind of morbid freaking shit freaking why would people want to buy freaking skeletons that they repurposed? Like what kind of
because
morbid
it's
shit is that?
cool. Dude, my
Some of it
office,
is,
I'm
yeah.
Skull Hunter, okay? I literally have skull everything. If it's not a skull, it's gold. So,
And I'm a
I got
freaking the freaking lone wolf on YouTube, but you don't see me freaking howling like a goddamn wolf, and I sure as hell don't have a goddamn wolf outside.
we don't know that. You do live in GTA, so we don't know that.
Don't remind me, freaking million freaking ambulance and fire trucks driving by my house freaking a couple weeks ago. It was freaking insane.
Yeah, they're
I
busy.
think the freaking zombie apocalypse was going on outside.
Yeah. Busy.
Yeah, so definitely what it is. I don't know why my doorbell just rang. Joseph, do you want to real fast kind of discuss the TikTok situation?
Yeah, I think we should. I think
Okay.
it's worth wrapping up.
Answer my
I will say I ain't got a heck of a lot to really say on it. I mean, the story's kind of over, so
Okay.
but let's at least close that narrative.
As it goes, we talked last week about the lady who made Mr. Beast. Hypothetically, it was Mr. Beast's cake that made a toilet out of cake. It looked realistic. People sat on it. People have fetishes. All I'm gonna say. And when they did this, it seems like Mr. Beast kind of hypothetically Mr. Beast shunned her. Well, she did make an update video stating that it was Mr. Beast, but he had no involvement in that. And that's kind of what me and Joseph talked about last week is he probably had no idea it was someone else, but they talked. Mr. Beast hit her up. They talked. There's no bad blood. There's no hate. They discussed how they can improve in the future with communication, with better agreements and everything else. So it was a learning experience for him as well. And it seemed like it was a bad situation for like communication or whoever managed that side of it. But obviously, it had to do with something Mr. Beast, because he reached out to her and said, "Hey, I'm sorry to hear about this. I'm sorry this happened. I'm sorry all this happened. Let's try to make sure this never happens again." And they talked about other things in the video. We'll try to have it linked down below. But so throughout the story, it's pretty much ended. But this kind of kind of relap what we talked about last week, when we're talking about like people don't always have ill intentions. So when things go wrong, it's not always like Mr. Beast was trying to just get the closest bid, like get whatever they need to get and get it through. Like, he had no idea about this. So what it sounds like is it was a miscommunication from a manager's point of view, not blaming Mr. Beast's managers, but it was something to do with the management team that reached out to her. There was a miscommunication. They did state that there was a miscommunication somewhere. But once again, I even look back on the video. No one was credited for making that cake. Only thing Mr. Beast says in the video, "This cake took forever, so please subscribe." That's all he said. There was no word of who made it. There was no links in the description. There was no thanks in the description. There was a shout out to Gordon Ramsay, but there was no like anything else in the video. So yeah, as it goes to now with the TikTok situation, it's all good. Mr. Beast is not an ass. Shocking, who really thought that, but yeah, I think it was a good cleanup. I definitely do enjoy that she made an update video. We did kind of want an update for it because we wanted to know the juicy details for it. But yeah, I'm definitely happy to hear that. Now, we talked about that's why you should write contracts last week. Talking about you really should have a written agreement. And I think that definitely
shit like that. Sorry.
No, all I was gonna say is like that's the reason you should have a written agreement, is so if something did happen, it's like, hey, you were supposed to have her do it. It would have been written down. It would have been documented. And there would have been a paper trail that went along with it, so this video wouldn't have ever happened. Because even she said she didn't expect the video to blow up as much as it did. But it's TikTok, it's drama, and of course it's getting 1 million views. All I gotta say.
Happen.
Exactly.
This is why you don't delegate this kind of stuff to people, because 9 times out of 10, freaking people like are gonna end up screwing up or going into business for themselves and freaking trying to make decisions on their behalf of freaking whoever it is that they're supposed to be representing. An episode of a cartoon I've seen that literally a freaking person who's supposed to be the manager for a singer in the episode freaking was basically making all these demands that was under the guise of it was supposed to be for the singer, but it was actually to appease him.
Yeah.
Eventually, Stinger found out and kicked his ass in the fucking curve.
Well, the trouble with that, Charles, is once a person's operation gets too big, there's no option but to delegate, because you just have to think about what is the most important thing to do with your time. And if he has to manage things at a high level, operating businesses, he's got Gordon Ramsay on speed dial now. So you get to a point where you can't help but delegate. And it reminds me of this documentary. I seen this years ago, but it still sticks out. It was called Beer Wars, and it just followed a few different brewers and some of the challenges that they're facing. One of the challenges, for instance, is like somebody came up with this beer that had caffeine in it, and it was a very interesting but wonderful experience. And she noticed that the bigger breweries were just straight up like taking her idea, and at that time she didn't have really much of a means to fight back, and she's still managing managing what she can, trying to pitch. She's just going like bar to bar trying to get bars to carry it, and she has a family as well, and and all of that strain. But that's not why I bring it up. The reason why I bring it up is because there was this other craft brewer who he was starting to gain traction, and he expressed a concern that is what you're speaking to, Charles, which is like, the more I grow, the more I feel like I'm going to lose the essence of what we're doing. Like if for instance we can't scale up and we have to like cut an ingredient out of the brew, and the beer itself actually changes, that's going to hurt. Or just our brand or anything like that. So this is where I think a lot of companies, when they look into scaling, they forget that there's growth, but there's also nurturing, which is making sure that your internal company is happy, healthy, and energized, and everyone's on the same page. If you scale too quickly, you'll find that your foundations underneath will will take a hit. Now, I don't think that happened to Mr. Beast. He scaled up pretty well. So this was just like, a blip in what has been an otherwise pretty clean story of success.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, it's like the bigger you get, you have to delegate. So and it's definitely like you can look at it from an outsider saying he's being lazy. He's stepping away from what he does, but it helps him because if you're someone as big as Mr. Beast, who the next video he releases has to be better than the last. So you can't waste that time trying. And I'm not saying it's a waste to talk to other content creators, but like he stated on the Colin and Samir podcast, is like he's talked to over 500 creators. He's marking them off the list, but you can only do that so much. You got to delegate, and that's why he has Tariq that deals with all of his cameras. He has some of his good friends deal with the other side of content. Mr. Beast Gaming had nothing to do with Mr. Beast at first. The first year of the Beast Gaming channel was out. Mr. Beast wasn't in a single bit of that content because he delegated out to get the channel started. And the same thing for Mr. Beast Reacts. He delegated that out to get it started. Now he's involved in it because now he can actually see that, okay, there's a reason to be a part of this. It's not just, oh, I want to do this, I'm going to go do it. It's like he delegated someone to start it to see if it's even worth anything. He sees it's worth something. Now he can now invest his time into it because, unfortunately, besides like Mr. Beast, his time is delicate. His time is valuable. So
Yeah, there's so much that goes on behind closed doors that keeps everybody so busy that a lot of people don't know about. So yeah, it's time management, I'm sure. Yeah, the delegation just becomes to a point where you almost need it.
oh yeah, 100%. Now, Pap, I was very curious because you look like a metalhead.
Somewhat,
You're a Canadian. You're
correct.
also a pretty chill dude who
Thank you.
doesn't seem to get angry at too much.
Not too much. I
So
find as I get older, my fuse becomes a little longer.
almost non-existent. So with that, what do you do? Like, what do you do for fun? What do you do like to relax? What do you do to unwind? And like, what are things that like makes you you? I guess the best way to say
Uh,
that.
yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm a huge music lover, so a lot of our time, like my house is just like wired for speakers like crazy. Like, yeah, there's always music going at our place. So we're a big fan. Me and my wife, we go to a lot of concerts.
Oh yeah,
Uh, because I'm so busy at work, I do shift work too. I work 2 weeks of days and then 2 weeks of afternoons a month. I don't get to see her for a couple weeks a month, so I try and spend my downtime with her
nice,
as well. Time with my animals. I like being outside. I spend
nice.
some time outside. I grew up playing sports. I don't play so much sports anymore. We like longboarding. We enjoy longboarding. I used to skateboard a lot when I was younger, so we enjoy some longboarding. But yeah, a lot of my time, honestly, is just like downtime with the family, music, and a bit of gaming on the side as well.
Okay, now for those you may not know, you're really getting into Dead by Daylight right now, but you
I'm
were
hooked
playing a
right
lot of
now.
sports games. But what's your all-time
Hooked
favorite
is
game?
people
My
good.
all-time favorite, like ever,
Yeah, all-time
was
favorite game.
probably the Last of Us.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that was an incredible game. And it was like watching a movie at the same time. It was pretty wild. I have yet to unfortunately play the second one. I want to. Ellie's all grown up now, so it'd be kind of cool to play a second one. But yeah, that is like by far probably my all-time favorite game. I like grew up playing a lot of COD. Like I say, my gaming career started a little later in life. I gamed a bunch when I was younger. I game a lot more now. But I played a lot of Call of Duty growing up.
Nice.
I do enjoy baseball, so you've catch me playing some MLB now and again on streams for sure. But yeah, I'm hooked on Dead by Daylight right now. You got me all amped up.
Yeah, nice. Dead by
I think
Daylight
it's
is
kind of
definitely a
obvious to
fun
tell what
horde.
my all-time favorite game is. Not
Halo.
the one that's on that poster, just the name of it.
Yeah,
That's
it's
your favorite one, Halo Infinite?
I played Infinite before and thinking it was a disappointment, and I'm still waiting for the co-op campaign to happen so that me and this guy underneath you on the thing can play it.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah, it's always better when you get to play with your friends.
yeah. And I feel like that's a big part of like Dead by Daylight for an example. It's like it's much better to play with friends, but it's also one of the games you don't need it. And any game that makes you have to rely on having people a lot of gamers are antisocial to begin with. So having
True.
games that kind of dedicate to be social with others is like that's not really the line you want to have with a game. But
Yeah.
yeah,
My
I found
philosophy
that
is that matchmaking, sorry, Charles, the matchmaking has one goal, which is to help you make friends. Because in any game where you're working as a team, you will never be able to play at your peak potential unless you're with a coordinated group where you have a camaraderie and there's chemistry and you understand each other's strengths and weaknesses. So matchmaking is just there to facilitate that. I wouldn't ever rely on matchmaking for any like serious competitive ranking or ladder climbing.
No.
I found
Not
that
by
I
any
get
means.
bored really quickly when I'm not playing with people.
Yeah, because you'll find too
That's
is that
fair.
like if you do happen to play a game where people are trying to rank up on their own, what does that say about the gameplay? It says that the gameplay is entirely structured and there's no like wiggle room to kind of like veer off. Because I play a lot of like the arena games, the MOBAs, and the problem with playing those with pubs is that if I have even a slight variance in how I play a hero, no one else is going to expect that, which means that my
Mhm.
team has been building their heroes based off how they expect me to play, which is not always the conventional play style. So either you play exactly the way everyone expects or make friends. I highly recommend making friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
My
agreed.
all-time favorite game is Ocarina of Time.
Yeah. I feel like Apex, like I played a lot of Apex Legends too. I felt like that was the same way when you were trying to solo queue. Like I just solo queued by myself, and then when you're not expecting certain things, or yeah, there's no comms or whatever, it's a lot easier and more fun with friends. So that was very well said.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Met Joy
Practicing that
thinking
for like 2 years.
I met Joy playing Halo 3 8 years ago or something
Oh,
like
that's
that.
awesome.
We've been friends ever since.
Amazing. See what it does, man? Long term friendships.
yeah. I mean, it's so weird. Like for one, gaming does like truly bring people in together, but it's not even just that. Like me and Charles, like if we stop talking for like the next 2 years, we could pick it back up in a snap, and I'm pretty sure that would be the same with like everyone I know. And also it helps when I don't change at all. I think that really helps. Is like, me change? Nah, I'm still immature and I'm still the way I am. But I think it also helps like you with gaming, you get past the bullshit real fast. And I think that's a totally different thing than like getting a friend in real life. They don't see you when you're mad. They don't see you when you're happy. They don't see you all this stuff all the time. In gaming, within 5 minutes, you can see me raging at the screen, laughing at the screen, and being intimate on screen. Like you can see like all those things within a day of being friends with somebody on Xbox versus going outside. Like I had no reason to start yelling at someone outside.
You
I don't have
imagine?
no reason to
You'd be
start
like, oh,
yeah, just go up to someone. You're my friend.
It also
Piece of
helped.
shit.
It also helped that we were both huge Red versus Blue fans, and the fact that you picked up on the fact that I was making references when
Yeah.
I was like running around dual wielding plasma rifles, freaking trying to be like Carolina.
I remember those, the red versus blue. Yeah.
Yeah, we're big fans of Red versus Blue, and that kind of started that, and then Joseph invited me to be on his a company he was working for. He was running their podcast, and
Right.
he invited me to go on the podcast, and I was like, fuck it, okay.
I didn't invite you.
Yeah, well, you didn't invite me, but
They had somebody do the invitation.
some
So
people reached out. I got invited to be on the podcast, and I went, okay, this is one of the first. I was like, okay, I'll do it, and I got on the podcast, and yeah, me and Joseph met, and then I was like, dude, I'm gonna start a podcast, and I want you to come on, and then like as soon as we started releasing the podcast, Joseph was like, hey, I'll jump on. I'll talk about video games. I'll be a nerd. And yeah, he hopped on and he only missed like 2 episodes since. Like I had a co-host. We had another person here.
my math is not 100% accurate, but I think I've been on more episodes than everybody else. Because you had a sabbatical too, right? So
Yeah.
you were gone for like 4 or 5 episodes where James and I and Charles were holding the fort.
Yep.
So I'm just saying.
The original idea was I was supposed to leave the podcast, and this is even what I told like the architect who was the original co-host for this podcast. I started it with him and said, once I get big, I'm out. I will be here, but I'm not gonna be here in the sense. So I was like, I'm going to sit there, do the podcast whenever I can, but this is your baby. You were excited to do this. I want you to run this. And now I'm like, okay, cool. So I was like, I'm going to bail out. So I keep getting to these points like, I'm ready to bail out. I'm ready to hop out away, do my stuff. And then like all of a sudden the architect goes, hey, I got schooling. So I'm out. And now he's out getting milk money. And we're over here holding on the podcast. And now Joseph has officially been on more episodes of my podcast than me or the co-host.
That's so funny.
You know what the weird thing is? The only episodes I missed was the ones that I wasn't a part of, and maybe like one episode. Other than that, I've been the most consistent being in this thing.
Yeah, I mean, we try to stay as consistent as possible, but when it's all said and done, Joseph still holds the record of being on the most.
I actually think Charles might edge out the win here.
Have you two
If
ever...
I have to count it out, but I think he's going to edge it out the win.
Roll back to tapes. we need to go back through history. We have over a year of podcast. We're going to get
that one when I ripped out that giant Nerf gun, and I'm still trying to figure out why freaking James deleted that one.
I don't know. It's
Yo,
the
you remember the
unseen
one I'm talking about,
podcast.
right, Joseph?
Podcast. Well, this is my
Remember
first
what I'm
ever
talking about, right,
podcast, so
Joseph?
this is pretty cool. Thank you for
Yeah.
having me.
Dude, I was like, oh man, should I ask him? I was like, fuck it. What's the worst he could say? No. Being on a podcast that doesn't require him to do anything? I was like, come on.
The worst would be like, no, and also I found out where you live. I'm sure I can
No, and is this your address? Question mark. Well, he said he was going to send some chips. So one of the first streams I hopped into, he was talking about like the chips he has up there, and he was like, I'll send some down. Like I'll send some down. So if he just all of a sudden asked one day, is this your address? I'll be like, yes,
Imagine.
Kill me after the chips. Take care of me.
Enjoy the chips first.
Them. Don't waste your money on shipping without letting me eat them. There's gonna be one chip left in that bag, so I can continue to live. But yeah, I was like, man, should I ask Pappy if he wants to be on?
Absolutely.
I was like, oh, I don't even know what this man's real name. He could be a
No, I was
psychopath.
excited. Yeah, thank you. I was super excited.
Yeah, I was definitely happy that we could get you on here. We're trying to get more people on. It's not only like so more people listen to podcasts. It's like the true reason I want to do podcasts is meet new people, and we did like so much at the very beginning. Like we had more people on, and then I got too comfortable with the tight group we had, and then I kept telling myself that I was like, no, I don't need anyone else. We don't need anyone else. We don't want anyone. No, we'll stick with that. And then I had to snap myself out of it. I was like, this is stupid. I know this is stupid. I was like, I'm just going to start asking people. I'm just going to literally just, as soon as I get close enough to people, I'm going to ask them. And I realized I should do it more because like I have people in my DMs who have about 100 times more followers than I have on every social media platform, who we message back and forth, and I'm just like, I should probably just ask him one of these days, like, hey, do you want to join? Do you want to do something? Do you want to make a video? And I just never get around to it, or I like tell myself not to. But I was really happy. I was just like, and I also don't like doing it in stream. Like you were live, and I was just like, you want to be on the podcast? Didn't even like DM you. I was just like in your chat going, I mean, you want to be on the podcast? Question mark.
Yeah, I'm pretty. I mean, if it's like people I know, I'm pretty easy in chat with what everybody's talking about. If I don't know you, I might be a little more skeptical or a little more diligent with my mods, watching what you're doing and what you're putting in chat or whatever. But I was super excited. Again, it was my first one. I was all nervous and everything. I didn't know. Again, so being so new to streaming, and you guys are so good at what you do. I was like, I don't know what kind of necessarily what I have to offer, what I'm going to bring to the table or anything. But I mean, we all come from different walks of life. So you said you wanted to have me on, and I was like, yeah, I'll share whatever and hang out. You were a wicked person to hang out with in your stream. So I was thrilled.
So
honestly, I like to think we're a pretty chill group, especially if people can tolerate freaking whenever I go on with my freaking random ass tangents.
We just tolerate it. We encourage it.
In the description we have Charles will rage. Signed. Signed here to agree. We have a petition.
I'm surprised you haven't been putting that down there, because it seems like I'm freaking raging about something like every podcast.
I honestly, like, I'm not joking. Like, even though Joseph takes over the editing for the podcast, I so greatly appreciate. I still don't have enough time to get this thing out. He could send it to me on Thursday, and I'll still be Sunday going, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I'm
Okay,
so
okay, mental
fucking
note.
busy.
I'll just send it to him on Saturday if it's not going to make a difference.
Exactly. It won't make a difference. I'm still over there Sunday going, like you can't do anything about it. You're like, oh man, I'm sorry. I'm like, oh shit, we do have a podcast.
That's so funny.
But I do, because we do try to do it with our new guys, we do want to ask you like a few questions that actually get to know you a little bit more.
Fire away.
What's your address? I'm joking. Don't answer that one.
So what's your insurance number?
Give me someone you hate. Let's see how Peppy goes. So one of the first questions I want to ask: pineapple on pizza.
W. Big win. Love it.
Okay, and that's
Love
it for a show. I'm joking. Cats or dogs?
Ooh, tough. I've had both. Oh man, just because I have all cats right now, I'm gonna say cats.
Okay. Xbox, Nintendo, PlayStation, or PC?
I mean, I play Xbox now, but I mean from when I was a kid, man, original Nintendo.
Okay.
Yeah, I still got my original Game Boy too. Remember that big gray brick? I still got that too, man. So yeah, I'd probably have to go Nintendo. My wife plays the Switch. We have the Switch a lot. I like the Mario Kart and everything.
Nice.
Again, I'm Xbox kind of through and through, but man, Nintendo kind of got me into it, and they're classic. They never change. They're amazing.
Oh yeah.
Game Boy, Switch.
There you go. Yeah. I
Now
love
where's
Mario
the
Kart.
condom? Just like here's this. Oops. Pull it back. I'm not a Persian. back on subject.
That's funny.
Friday night. Stay in house or go out and party.
Stay in the house. Yeah, I'm a very homebodied individual for sure.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Camera on or camera off?
Camera on.
Okay.
Camera on for me. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm okay with it.
That's
okay
actually
with
a very good one. I thought about that the other day. I was like, who's actually comfortable like on camera? Like, are you?
You know
a
what?
camera
It took
on or
me a
off
little
guy?
while, but I'm pretty comfortable with myself. So it takes a little bit for sure to get used to like seeing yourself and hearing yourself and watching stuff back and like being comfortable talking all the time and being in front of the camera. But yeah, I find the camera on is a much more interactive experience.
Yeah,
Nice.
for me, the first hurdle was seeing myself on camera. The second hurdle was seeing myself on camera while high.
That would be a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a
If
trip.
I play right now, this will probably be the only game I'll be playing on it.
What is that one?
Resistance.
Oh, Resistance.
La Resistance.
Okay.
The
And-
fall of man.
If
Isn't
you're
that from
on more
South
than
Park?
2 episodes of the podcast, he will
It is,
show
yeah.
you that game about every 3 podcasts, and we love it.
He likes it.
It's always like a show and tell. Like he'll bring up something random. We could be talking about something completely different. All of a sudden, he would like pull up something and be like,
Check this out.
it's like
I like it.
we're talking about politics. You're over here bringing up Pokemon. It's like we need to keep in line.
Yeah, I mean, red and blue, you know, you get two sides. Yeah, it's
There's
just,
Ratchet and Clank and some of the other PS2 games.
Pokemon is actually like super political if you think about it, because they always come out with 2 opposing parties. Right? It's always like 2 games, right? Sun and Moon, Fire Red, Leaf Green. Yeah, Pokemon's is super political.
I hate that I
I'm
know
not
that
wrong.
now. I hate that I know that now. That's gonna ruin everything for me. Oh my god.
I don't care what anybody says. These are the best wrestling games ever made.
I'm gonna have.
I'm sorry, I don't see WrestleMania 2000 there.
All is I'm not a big wrestling fan. So I mean, it is what it is. Man, I got sidetracked on the
Productions.
questions now.
I know these are reproductions, but I want to get a legit copy of both of these.
Start hunting.
Munch.
Start
Pokemon
hunting,
Emerald,
baby.
Fire Red.
Okay.
Chinese or pizza?
Ooh, Chinese.
Chinese?
Chinese, yeah.
You're throwing me off. Mega Blocks or
throwing you
Legos?
off? Ooh, Lego.
Oh.
Lego.
Okay.
Yeah.
Classic. Okay.
like
I
Now
hope we get to use this memory card.
you would never be able to use it again. If pennies are growing extinct, PlayStation ones are growing extinct. Okay. That was I mean, board games or video games?
Oh, video games. I'm not gonna lie. I play board games with my wife, but there's a lot of times she's like, I'm like, I just don't want to play a board game. I'd rather play a video game with you. I don't know what it is. Again, nothing against them. I don't know if I just like the more interactive. Like I like trivia stuff. Like I don't know if it's just like a more interactive thing, but like I get
Board
bored.
games, they're just
Yeah,
not that great for two players, I find.
yeah.
Like,
If you had a bunch of
it's,
people, could be better for sure.
yeah, because it's the social side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that. We have a ton of board games here, and growing up with a family of 8, 6 kids in total, and mom and dad, and so board games were all around the house, but they're
Right.
always like 6 to 8 player.
Yeah.
Even though my dyslexic ass didn't learn to read until I was 16, so a lot of board games I was like, so what do I do again? Okay, I count. How do you do that? So I'm like, okay, cool. I guess I'll learn. And Joseph, do you have any like kind of yes or no questions? James had a list of these things.
Yeah,
And
I'm an open book. Feel free, fire away.
This is my oldest game
sure.
that I've ever owned. This is the same Halo 2 I've had for freaking a long ass time, and it's beat
That's
to hell, but it
amazing.
still somehow works.
That's
And this
amazing.
is the original case that it came in too.
oh man, I can't believe.
I got one.
Oh,
It's vintage.
yeah. Go ahead.
Wars or Trek?
Ooh, probably Wars.
Wars, okay.
Fuck yes!
Yeah, probably Wars. Although the Trek movies were pretty cool. That
Newer
yeah,
ones, I'm gonna have to
I'd
admit.
definitely be a Star Wars. Actually, I made my wife watch like the original 3 from the '80s just a little while ago because she's a little bit younger than me, but she hadn't really seen them before. I'm like, you need to watch them. They're classic. But yeah, probably Wars for sure.
Yeah, well, the original Star Wars trilogy is like, if there's any movie that needs to be put in a capsule and blasted off into space, it's
Correct.
it's got to be that one. And The Godfather is probably a close second.
Yeah, good movie.
Yeah. Here's what we think life is like out there. Here's what it's actually like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, though, no matter what, though, I feel like there's a lot of benefits with having creators on the podcast. So, what is one thing that streaming has done for you that you're glad that you got into it? Like, what is something that streaming changed or that made you look like going, this is why I got into this. Like, this is why I love doing it.
Honestly, starting streaming. Like I come from a bit of my streaming start comes from a bit more of a darker side of things. I was in a pretty bad like mental state, and I was watching Mixer, and a streamer just kind of like I was in every day. They were very kind to me, treated me really nice, very like open and honest with me. And not that I like shared that I had anything going on or whatever, but they just made me feel better about my day. And then eventually, one day they asked me if I stream, and I'm like, no, I've never tried it. Sorry.
You're good.
And yeah, I never really tried it or anything. So he's like, oh, you should try it. You should try it. And I was like, I don't know. And I used to work. A bit of a side story. Like I used to work for the fire department, so I like. I've always been like a bit of a people pleaser. I like helping people. So once I kind of got like better, and I was still like watching all the streaming stuff, I was kind of like, maybe it's my turn to pass the torch on and like maybe make somebody else's day. So any day I go live, if I can make somebody smile, like I feel like I did my job.
Nice. That
So
I
that's been,
I
like,
know
the
there
best
wasn't a
part
right or
of my
wrong
streaming.
answer, but that was a great answer.
It's pretty deep. It's pretty dark. I know sometimes it's hard for me to share, but yeah, if I can make somebody smile, like that's my whole reason for it.
Yeah. No, I definitely appreciate you sharing that. And if we ever feel like if you ever think that we're like pushing maybe too hard for a question and stuff, you can literally tell us fuck right off. That's totally
No,
fine.
I told you I'm an open book. I've shared this story before for sure. That's why I started, but that's what makes me like feel good about it for sure.
I was iffy about doing the whole live streaming thing too at one point, but now I do
It's
it like
tough.
at least once or twice every week because now I do live stream reactions with friends of mine that for wrestling related stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'll do like a reaction to something. Like I just did a reaction to the most recent trailer for the new Modern Warfare.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome. Are you gonna get it? You excited for it?
Yep.
Yeah. They've been
And Jordan, you
honestly,
better fucking get it too.
I'm
I've been
not.
avoiding them. I've been avoiding them the past few, but I'm like, oh, everybody keeps telling me like, you gotta check this one out, you gotta check this one out. But I'm like, I feel like that's what everybody says every time, but I don't know. Like
Yeah.
some of the gameplay for the multiplayer does it does look pretty good. So we'll see what happens. But we got a while till it comes out in November, right?
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah,
It comes out in
Yeah.
October, actually.
or October. Excuse me. Okay.
I'm highly iffy on it, and the
At least
reason
Jordan,
I've been is just from my past Call of Duty experience.
Yeah, you're a COD guy.
Yeah, I
At least
used
Jordan-
to play competitively. Go ahead.
Yeah. So
at least Jordan play the beta with me, so that at least you can at least get a feeling of the game.
Maybe. The whole thing is like we talked about this maybe last week. We talked about this with like that competitiveness. Like I get that high playing it, and I don't want to get that back. So maybe I will get the beta, at least try to play with you for like a day or something. But I would have to force myself to uninstall it, 100%. Like I don't, because even if it is fun, it's just it was such a hard time. Like Activision for one screwed me a lot. The company
So good.
themselves, but and then the playing pro Call of Duty was just. I'm happy the days are over. It was fun. It was a great experience. I met a lot of people. I met Dr. Disrespect. He was a cool guy. I met a lot of the FaZe guys. Some of them were better than others. I met a ton of people along the way, and it was great. But I'm happy I'm out of it. Like I'm
Right.
really happy I'm out of it and being able to like just have fun with games again. And especially like the arthritis kicked into my hands, and I went, okay. I can't do it. I have Lyme disease, and it's unfortunately affected my joints and my hands and stuff, and that's one of the first places it hit, and I went, oh. So any massive all-on gaming career is over now. So I went, okay, I'll just do what I can then. And so at this point, like that's where I stopped playing as much Call of Duty because I got so competitive with it. But I was good. I even my last Call of Duty video I ever did, and the reason I did it the way I did it is because I won the last one hoorah. So I played 24 hours of Call of Duty Cold War, and I made a video on it and everything else. Like that was my last hoorah to Call of Duty. Is like. Play it for 24 hours, make a cool ass video for it, and it was a fun time. But there was so many times like being worried that I was going to get banned, and I probably did. After that, I didn't check, but I was pretty certain I was going to get banned. Like there was games I was getting over 60 kills on a 100 kill score, and I was like, I'm going to get banned. I got nukes. I got
cheating. Yeah.
like I
Why did you
was.
get a freaking nuke?
Like I was like, oh, I'm going to get banned, and if the rules were if I got banned, I was gonna have to do something. I was gonna get egged. I think I was gonna get egged, and I was like, gonna donate something. So it was like I didn't want to get banned, but also like I didn't want to get banned because of the point I'm not cheating. But Activision's whole thing with cheating and stuff like that isn't that great. Even their new bot system they made for Warzone. The next day, people were showing how to break the system to where none of that is taking effect. And they did a lot of searching up and found out a lot of the money they put towards stopping the cheaters did not do anything. And the money is just poof, missing.
Right.
So they put it somewhere, just not in the game. So I went, oh, little shady. And then the whole, what do they call it? Bar crawl, except with desks. I forgot what they actually called it, but yeah, they were pretty much allowing people to harass women at the workstation, and I was like, ooh. Like
Yeah, no
after
good.
that, I went, you know what? I don't even want to support these people, but like I'm not gonna hate like their past games either. Like their Black Ops 2 and other games they made, they're good, but the company is still shady as hell.
Right.
If it helps any, Infinity Ward's the one making the new Modern Warfare 2. Activision has nothing to do with it.
That's a lie. It's literally right there on the website. If you search it up, you will see Activision has a big name in it. Still, they
I didn't know that.
hired the guys to do it.
I only thought that Infinity Ward was the only ones involved in this thing.
Activision hired Infinity Wars to work on the game. Activision still has their full name into it. But that once again, just I mean, no matter what, like they're not directly involved with it, but they still have their dirty fingers on it, you know, like their Cheeto dust fingers touching the game. Like I don't want them touching my games. Like, well, let me play Minecraft. if Activision starts touching Minecraft, then I'm like, ugh, stay away.
No Minecraft.
But nah, it's
At least if the beta does anything for you, will you play it when it comes out?
like I said, I'll play the beta. I'll play it for like a handful of days, along if I have time, and when it comes out, I'll probably play it, especially if it's free. If it's a free beta, I'll probably play it. If it's like pre-order the game and get the beta, but no, I'll do something else. I'm not buying a game just so I can get the beta. Man, and
You only have to put like $5 down on it to get it, as far as I know.
you have to pay to get a beta.
It's a pre-order to get into it. I don't know if they're gonna have like the thing that they normally do, where 1 week it's for PlayStation, then it's Xbox, then it's open for everybody.
I
That's
think
normally how they do it.
I think they're gonna let it open for everyone, especially because they need their up of sales right now. Especially with how bad Vanguard was, they probably need their upcline and stuff.
Oh, this one's supposed to be their magnum opus, so
Okay, Activision.
it's supposed to be like their best called game yet that they've made, and that's what people are saying.
Yeah, that's what Vanguard was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like
That campaign. I'm sorry.
no, it's just I don't trust Call of Duty. I lost trust in Call of Duty. Call of Duty has a name. I lost trust. Like their next game is supposed to be their best. It's always supposed to be their best.
I'd say
Not-
every 3. Like they have like their most mainline ones, and then they have like the experimental ones, and they have like the contained ones that are more like a more low key story. But every 3rd one needs to be like their next step forward.
If the campaign mission that
agree.
they showed is anything to go off of, I think the game's going to be the best one that they've made since 2019.
And if the campaign, what they show for the campaign, if it is as good as it looks, then I definitely think this Call of Duty will be a very big deal. But I'm just also ready for disappointment. It's like movies past 2020. It's like you're expecting disappointment. So when you're not disappointed, you're like, oh, okay, it's a nice uplifting feeling. Like, oh, there are still good things in the world.
Like
But-
Cannibal Holocaust.
If anything, Jordan, if Call of Duty doesn't do anything for you, at least we can look forward to freaking whenever they finally put Halo Infinite's co-op campaign in the game, we can play that.
Yeah, when they do that, I'll play it. I'll play Halo Infinite. But we're getting closer to our wrap up time. Pat, do you have any questions for us? Like any little fun questions you want to ask? Like maybe something for you to get to know us a little bit better. One question that everyone can answer. Like, do you have any like just want to know questions? Just curious questions. We're all open books.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, I've been listening and trying to catch up. I mean, we met recently. I've been trying to catch up on getting to know your community and your podcast and stuff. So I've been listening a little bit to try and figure out what you guys were all about and what's happening and stuff. But within, I don't want to, without having to get too personal. Good question. I guess yeah. How did you guys get your gamer name, your gamer tag?
Oh,
That would be my good. I think that's a good question to ask. I like that, asking people that one.
and Charles, you will go ahead answer this first, and Joseph then me.
Oh, mine was because it was a secondary one I made, freaking that was supposed to be for my brother, because I had another profile at the time. I ended up losing that one, so I ended up having to use the one that I have now, and I only named it that because I was a huge Dale Earnhardt Jr. fan growing up, and I still
Right. Okay.
Now it's pretty much became my main Xbox Live profile. I dumped more my time into freaking than I did my older ones. And I've been wanting to change it to my YouTube name, but freaking, I don't want most of my friend list to freaking be like, who the fuck is this motherfucker?
Fair.
That, and I'm also in the Destiny clan that also has my name that I have right now on there, so I don't want to have to explain to them why my name's different on there. If no,
Right.
my name
Right.
that
Right.
I have on my YouTube name is the one I have on Steam, but I don't play on PC very often.
Okay. Okay.
I'm an Xbox fan for life, except when I want to play PlayStation or a Nintendo game.
Fair enough. Joseph,
Yeah.
what about you?
Okay, I've had a lot of tags through it. I tried to stick to one. The first one that I used on newgrounds.com was Knight-Raider, which coincided with my email address at the time, which was hell_satin45
Yo.
at hotmail.com. So that one was that one for a while, and then for a while I did kind of the unusual thing, and I integrated my real name into it. For a while I was Joe Dozer, and so a lot of my early internet friends, even though I refer to them by their tags, they got used to calling me Joe. kind of a mistake, if I'm being honest, because if everybody else is going by their tag names, they're going off of more of like, their avatar, right? A little bit more of like their interpretation of themselves and not like themselves. So I don't recommend doing that. And then I'm going through the ages here, and then there was a meme when the PlayStation 3 was being announced. So it's a bit of a dated meme at this point, but it's the giant enemy crab meme. You'll have to look it up, but basically
Okay.
they were showing this game called I think Shenmue 2, and it's like Shenmue 2 is based off of real events that really happened in Japan, and then it cuts to, so here's this giant enemy crab, and this huge crab starts attacking the samurai. It's like you have to hit its weak point for massive damage, and I loved that meme, and that's why my website is Giant Enemy Company.
That's
And my
amazing.
YouTube is Giant Enemy Channel, my comic Giant Enemy Comic. So I got like the Giant Enemy brand as like my go-to. And so as an extension of that, for a while I was using Tiny Enemy Shrimp. Some people got it, but not many did. But after a while, people were calling me shrimp, and I'm like, this is what people call me to like. This is the something that people would call me to make fun of me. Like, why would I do that to myself? And so then one day, it just like really like that. I wasn't thinking about it. It just hit me. I'm
I
like,
just snapped him.
Seth is actually kind of cool, isn't it? Because most Joes will use the first half, and then the Cephs always get swept into the dustbin. I'm like, and a lot of people, by the way, we actually have visual proof of James doing the surprise Pikachu face when he found out. It was the last episode before he had to go get the milk. He's like, people have consistently not realized that Seth is the second half of Joseph, because it's once you split that from Joe, it's pronounced differently, and it becomes its own thing. And so I'm like, yeah, you know what, I can do this. Seth fits, and it's more like, because I'm an editor, right? So
Yep.
it's not a recalibration, but it's more like an editing of me.
That's awesome.
And then, well, as you can see on the Discord here, it's Seth the Conjurer. So Jen and I, we got into Icewind Dale. Top-down RPG. You have like 6 people in your party, so we each made 3 characters, and my main character, I picked Conjurer, and I just loved the picture that came with the character. Just a dude with a bunch of like scars on his face and a red robe. I'm like, yeah, that's me. That's my guy. And I just fell in love with that avatar, and I felt like that's really been me manifest through it. So. And also, one thing that I like to ask, and if we have time, I'll ask this question after Jordan takes his turn. But like, let's say you were transported to a fantasy realm, and you didn't get to choose, but your class was bestowed upon you based off who you are and what would be your natural inclination. For me, that would be Conjurer. So, like a creative person who uses magic to manifest things. So I'm not the best like combat spellcaster, but I'm very much like a creative, a summoner. I calling people for help, creating things. So that's how I got Seth the Conjurer, and Seth the Conjurer is pretty consistent. Like it's hard, like people will probably not. Some people will take Seth, but people typically will not take Seth the Conjurer. And if somebody does, then I usually change my name to Someone Took Seth. Yeah.
Now, what's your TikTok name?
Seth missed out on Vine.
I'm making a goal now to like make sure he says that one, because then it's like, oh, it's a big lead up, and then it's, so what's your TikTok name? Oh, I lost out on Vine. It's like this whole lead up, and it's just the fucking truth.
That's so good.
Mine's the easiest. I was a big Devil May Cry fan, so I love Dante. And I love the lore for Dante in real life, so I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. I'm on Dante. And then I loved Achievement Hunter, and so I was like, I want to be a hunter. So Dante the Hunter, and 6 was just the random number I clicked, and turns out 1, 2, 3, and 5 were taken. And 7 and 8 were taken. I just got lucky on that. And then Skull Hunter was me sitting in the truck one day trying to think of names with Brittany, one name that I will enjoy, that I actually like. And I was like, I love skulls. I love skulls. I'll always love skulls. I was like, I'm not like a dark person, but I love death in a sense, and I love skulls. I love all this stuff. I'm like, Skull Hunter. I like that, because then you can have Skull Hunter Games, Skull Hunter Podcast, Skull Hunter Life, Skull Hunter Vine.
Yeah.
Like, you got all this stuff. I'm like, I love that. You can make another name with the same name. I was like, Skull Hunter babies. Brittany hated it. My girlfriend hated everything about Death, Skulls, Halloween. She hated all of it. And then after she understood why I loved Skulls so much, she went, okay, I understand. And I understand the name. Now it worked. And then I talked about changing it before, and she was like, stick with it. So those are literally the easiest ways. Like Devil May Cry and my
That's
love of
cool.
Skulls. That's the
That's so
reason
dope.
I got both of
Mine
mine.
was going robotic on my end, and everybody's screens are flashing.
Yeah, it's
No,
getting a
cool.
little laggy. Could be because there might be some issues with my internet today. We crashed like 3 times while we were live earlier, so I'm pretty confident. A lot of it has to do with mine, but it's because heavy winds in Kansas sucks. So
Yeah, true.
just trying to go with it. Trying to
Fair
stay
enough, fair
still once
enough,
it starts
fair enough.
lagging. I'm like, yeah, this is what we're doing, so it doesn't blur out the podcast image. But
Yeah.
we have enough time. Do you want to answer Joseph's question about if you had a fantasy realm where you can control your character, not like what's going on? Joseph, you want to re-explain it?
If you were transported to a fantasy realm and you actually became the kind of character that you would play in a game, what would be the role that you are basically forced to have? You don't get to choose. This is the role that is so naturally you that when you transport there, you're like, oh, all right, this is it. This is me now.
Yeah, I don't want to say like I'm combative, but I feel like I would be like pretty good at like being at battle. I don't. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, so
I don't
you'd
know
be
what
a
that would
warrior.
be. Yeah, does that be a
Yeah.
warrior? I guess I'd be a
Yeah,
warrior.
I
Then,
can go
yeah.
more
I don't want to
specific,
say
like if you
again.
like
I'm like
berserker, barbarian,
Viking.
soldier, tactician.
ooh, Viking would be very fitting.
But
right
okay.
now, what I look like.
I would
Yeah.
hope I was
Yeah.
sent to Final Fantasy
From the
14's
looks.
world so I could be a freaking paladin and thinking I could just go freaking live right into
Would
that
be
shit.
paladin.
I just want to be a microwave. I think I said that before. I was like, I just want to be a microwave. I just want to cook some person's ramen noodles. Like, that's all I want.
Yeah. Ramen noodles so good.
Well, okay.
Yeah, that went great. That's
It's like freaking.
Yeah.
I play
Yeah,
the
that went
paladin
great.
freaking Final Fantasy 14 right now, and I just freaking like that whole freaking bit. Being the tank and everything and stuff like that. And I also like seeing some of the other classes in that game. I just haven't gotten far enough to play as them yet.
we I guess we should also ask how onepapchap came about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough question. It's a play on the chat part's a play on my last name. So when I growing up, there was a couple of us in class, and we were all named Ryan. So everybody started calling us by our last names, and then my last name got shortened up into Chap. And then for one day, I don't know, all my buddies would just mess around with my name. They just like make stuff up that rhymes with it. So the one day they were calling me like Pappy Chappy, and then like I don't know, all this random the one Pappy Chappy, and then somebody just said like one Pap Chap or I don't know, and then somebody just started laughing really hard, and they're like, "That's the one. You're getting stuck with that. Like we're calling you that one Pap Chap."
I wish I
That's
had
kind of got
that
hooked.
experience.
But that's why I asked you guys, because like not everybody. Some people just, you know what I mean, and it's nothing against anything. Some people just like pick a random gamer tag and like whatever. But a lot of the times you ask somebody, it's a pretty interesting how they come up and they got some story behind like their gamer tag and how it came about. So mine's pretty, yeah, mine's just play on my name. But yeah, you guys sharing, thank you for sharing. That was pretty cool stories.
Well, thank you for asking.
Oh, yeah.
I like telling
Yeah,
the story.
yeah.
I just wish mine was cool. You know what? I'm going to change mine.
Yeah.
So I dreamt I was a dragon. And I went on this quest. And I slayed Dante, the devil. And then I was a hunter. So yeah, Dante the hunter. Boom. And I was
Dang.
the 6th generation. There we go.
My original one was basically because I freaking pretty much played Halo a lot back in the day when I first got into Xbox Live, so I called myself Halo King. But I ended up
Okay.
losing that one because a dude I used to be friends with and I had a falling out over freaking stupid shit, so I ended up losing that profile because I never got to download it off of his Xbox onto mine. So then I made a shortened one of that, which was basically H King 7410, and I lost that one because freaking I thought I was getting be part of a thing for a game that I got an email for, but freaking ended up getting out because that one got hacked and then it got stolen from me. So
Jeez.
yes, I was one of those kinds of people
Holy-
that fell from one of those fake
Poor
games.
guy.
But that's why I'm glad I have my one I have now, because then I was pretty much able to make up for all the stuff that I was doing on my old profile. I was able to pretty much catch up on everything on that, and I made more progress in those games that I played on my old one on this profile than I did on my old one.
That works.
That's wild.
Plus, it's a profile that I also met Jordan on, so
So that's a win right there.
Yeah, burn it to the ground. I guess I don't see myself as like that big of a like person. Be like, oh, that's where I met him. It's like you could have also met me on Steam. Like it could have happened. Probably not as fast as it did, but it's like it could have happened. But I also don't feel like my presence is worth being like. Oh, yeah, I was on my mom's account. Over Cornet is her account
93.
name. Yeah, that was my mom's account because my mom's a big gamer as well. So is my dad, and so they play video games, and I got to use their accounts to play Xbox because Xbox Live was expensive, and yeah, I just used them. So some of my professional like Call of Duty stuff is still under my mom and dad's account name. So like some of the things like, oh, this man got 3rd place over Cornet. I'm like, thanks, mom. And it showed my mom's name on there too. So it's like Sheila Mole has gotten this, Cara Mole. So I'm like, fuck. But I was like,
gonna think.
I was like,
With that name, freaking your parents are like pro Call of Duty players as far as people are concerned.
actually, at that point, yeah, they got my mom was so happy. The first time she heard I got into the World Leagues, she was in Pennsylvania with my grandma, and my grandma had no idea what any of this was. So my mom's like, my son just got into the World League in Call of Duty, and my grandma was like, what? What's that? He's going around the world? No, he's just playing video games. It's like, so what does that mean? And so my grandma, I love her to death, but she's sort of like, no. I'm obviously young, so I still luckily have my grandma around. God, it's sad. I'm the youngest one here. I am truly the youngest one here. Now, I do want to ask you, we're getting to the point we need to wrap it, but how old do you think I am?
Ooh.
I always get
I was gonna say like 28, 29, something like that, maybe.
I want to die. 22.
Dang, you're young as hell.
Yeah, I'm young as can be. I always get burned on that question. Like even when I was 18, I looked like this. I'm 6.
Yeah, that's a bonus
6'3".
for when you look younger, and it's not that you look bad, not that you
Yeah.
28.
look better. And if you looked older when you were younger, that was probably a big win. But
Yeah.
you're really young. Holy, I'm old as hell.
How do you think
Yeah.
I feel?
How? Oh, I think Ryan's older than everyone here.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, I think so.
36?
I'm sorry.
36?
No, one more. 37.
37. Okay, I'm 32.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. I thought that was right. Yeah. Pap ended up explaining it on his stream one day, and we were all like trying to guess, and we're like popping in ages, and of course, like I'm being the smartest. I'm going 21. 22,
Yeah, no,
23.
I
And I'm like,
appreciate
I'm
it,
counting
but-
up until I finally hear an answer, and then everyone else in the chat is like, you're 30 this, 30 that. I went, okay, maybe I gotta step it up. I started doubling. I'm just like, 31, 33,
going.
35. I'm like trying to add up, like, I'm gonna get one of these right. So,
It's like the Price is Right, that little yodel guy that just keeps going up and doesn't stop and stop and stop. Yeah, it just keeps going.
that was me. I was like, okay, come on, you're gonna have to answer one of these. Yeah, I found out your age, and I was like, you have less grays for someone I would have thought in their late 30s.
I guess, yeah. I mean, the camera maybe does me a little justice for sure, but yeah,
The camera does it for me.
I guess so.
It's so bad. It's just nothing but grays. But it's because of stress. I mean, I worked at Amazon when I was 18 for management and security, so I should not have got the job when I did, but I did, and I got so lucky and made crap ton of money and nothing to do with. So I just worked at Amazon for most of my life.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was working at a young age, but I mean, everyone else in my house
me too.
got phones when my mom and dad were paying for them, and I did, and I was like,
Yep.
I'm gonna get my own. I'm gonna get my own phone,
Yep.
my own money, and
Man.
$10 went a long way back then. Now I'm like, $10, cool. I can get a Tootsie Roll, maybe a Bang if I need one, but that's it.
My first job, I remember making $6.85 an hour, and they gave me a raise to $7.10, and I was like, I am balling. I am
Yep.
making so much money, but
Yep.
oh, inflation.
I mean, it wasn't that long ago. I was working at the gas station back in one of my old towns I lived in, and I was making $8 an hour, and they were like, "We're gonna up you to $8.25," and I went, "Oh my god!"
just like,
And I was like, "Yeah," and I was like buying. I was like money bagged that Christmas. I was like throwing nickels up in the air, like Joseph, those are 5 cents.
We have nickels here. And why are you singling me? He's Canadian too.
That's funny.
Well, I can't go after Ryan. Okay, I can't. But yeah, no, it was, man, different times.
Different
Well,
times, for sure.
Fab, it was a great having you on here. But
Hey, thank you so much for
where
having
can
me.
where can people find you?
Honestly, it's pretty easy. onepapchap across the board on all my social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. The only thing that's different on my Twitch is somebody has my name, so it's onepapchap with an underscore at the end. That would be the only difference. But I'm live there, live on Twitch Monday to Friday usually. Weekends I usually take off to spend some time with the family. And again, I stay consistently inconsistent. I run on a two-week rotation, so you can either catch me early morning or later on in the evening Eastern Standard Time, depending on what shift I'm on.
Sounds good. Charles, where can people find you?
If you like to see me freaking either raging about something related to NASCAR or wrestling, or whenever I upload one of my Destiny related videos or whatever the hell I freaking feel like uploading, you can go to my YouTube channel and CJ the Lone Wolf. It's all the same name as my freaking Twitter that I don't use because I only made that thing so I can freaking see what the fuck kind of shit people are posting when they're talking shit about AEW. Fuck you, Jim Cornette!
I originally made my Twitter for OnlyFans. I'm not even joking. I made my Twitter because OnlyFans was like really big connected to Twitter, so I was like, I made a Twitter account and it was like I'll just connect to my OnlyFans account, and I was like, I'm just gonna, because there's supporters on that don't use like OnlyFans as like for what we all know it is today. So I followed artists and things like that, like True Art and a lot of spray paint art. I love that stuff, so I made a Twitter account for that, and then I just didn't use Twitter for the longest time, and then only thing I used it for was OnlyFans. That log me into OnlyFans. That's it. Joseph, where can people find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/joseph-ione-224-59364.
And
Find out more next episode.
bum bum bum. Yeah, you could find me at Skull Hunter Games. Anywhere you search that up, you will find me on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We're making a video late tomorrow that's going to help raise food around America. So make sure you subscribe when that video comes out. You can find the Skull Hunter podcast. This podcast right here. You can find that anywhere you search for podcasts on iTunes, Spotify, wherever. Anchor takes care of it all, so I don't even know where we're at. But I can tell you can find us. Just search up Skull Hunter Podcast, and you will find this episode. All of our links are also in the description down below, including the video to the podcast. You can only find that at 2 places, and that is Facebook and YouTube. And thank for Anchor for sponsoring the podcast. Anchor is your all-in-one platforming needs. You heard them if you're watching the audio version, but for a video version, we want to give you guys a little something extra. So Anchor is your all-in-one platform that you need to start your podcast today. Do everything for you. Distribution pays you a couple cents for every listen you get. It's worth it. Don't wait. Start now. Supplies are running out. If you download Anchor today, thank you, Anchor, for sponsoring the podcast. Guys, we did it. Charles?
People, leave it, comments and messages in the comment section of everything like that Jordan has, and tell them to freaking get the new Call of Duty so we have something to play besides Halo this fall.
No. Goodbye, everybody!